Okay. So really my thought process with these guys is I'm absolutely fascinated by them. You can watch 2 YouTube interviews I've done with them, and I probably ask the same questions every time. But I'm always like blown away, and they're questions that I'm genuinely asking. So we will open it up to you guys. Taylor and I both have questions. I'm just a super curious person, and I just like asking questions to these guys because they're light years ahead of us. And in multiple ways, social media, I would say, and also the Amazon business. And it's very cool just to be around you guys and seeing what you're doing. So we can actually bounce back and forth between Amazon Lit, and what I mean by that is your personal brand, and then also your Amazon business. So I've talked to you guys so much about your Amazon business, but I want to ask good questions. I don't want to ask like generic ass shit. Do you have any questions off the top that you want right now?
I was curious, like, I know for a lot of us getting started, it's like, you know, the goal changes over time. So like when you guys were in BJ's doing the retail arbitrage, what was that, 8 years ago, or what was that, 7? Did you see this clearly to where you are right now? How often would you say, like 2 years it changed and another year it changed in terms of the goal, the vision? How often did the goal and the vision change? And you know what I'm saying? Or was it like super clear, like we know we want a warehouse with 20 employees and from, you know, right when you started?
I think Scott hit it earlier where he said, just look at the steps. So when I'm on step 1, the only goal is step 2. And step 2 at the beginning was have something that allows me to provide for my family, right? Instead of working a 9 to 5, because I wasn't too good at that. Not too good at taking direction. So I needed to find something where I could find success. That was that number 1 goal. Once I had that money, a little bit where I could provide for my family, then it was like, okay, what's next? Maybe get some employees and provide for their families. And then the goal constantly, as you hit these new targets and thresholds, new goals appear. I mean, they come to fruition, something that you just didn't expect. So right now we're moving into a larger facility, and one of our new goals is to have a wholesale company where we're able to provide valuable products to help the members of our community sell more products on Amazon, because one of their biggest issues is finding suppliers, legit suppliers. So that's a goal that wouldn't have even been sustainable a few years ago, and now is.
I have a question about partnerships. So one of the most common reasons why businesses fail is because the partnerships fall through. This is something a lot of people don't talk about. It's because the partnerships don't work out. It's because they couldn't stick through it. It's because they weren't compatible for whatever reason. You guys were friends before you did business, which is interesting. Instead of doing business and then becoming friends. Like you could really say that Steve and Taylor, we kind of did business before we became friends, you know? Like we were both, I interviewed him on my YouTube channel before he became my friend. Keith here, one of my best friends, we've done business before, and we were friends before we did business. What tips do you guys have for partnerships? And you guys have an amazing chemistry up on stage, and it seems like that probably goes into the workplace as well, where you guys just kind of like, it's almost like your brains are connected and you think together. Have you guys had partnerships other than this that have failed, or are you guys just always 100% on with who you choose as a business partner?
Well, I think the first thing I'd say about business partners, you got to spoon with them at least once a week to make the relationship work. So you got to spoon with your business partner at least once a week. So you two are probably good, right? So because me and Sebastian are good, so you guys spoon twice, so you're ultimate business partners, right? But really, it's just a balance. And Sebastian and I, you know, a funny story. I don't know if I've ever shared this, and he might kick me in the ass later. But when we were young, like 16, 17, 18, something Sebastian and I did was we traveled the Northeast and we performed at like venues as rappers.
We did.
You know?
We were rappers, yeah.
As rappers, and we did this in New York City, in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania. We did it for years. And we thought we were going to be like professional rappers for the rest of our lives. And that moment, I didn't know that I would be traveling the world.
I think it was me.
It's too loud? I didn't know. I didn't know in a couple years I'd be traveling the world speaking to all these people, and that experience and that stage presence and that back and forth between me and him rapping for years would help me harvest this skill that I have. You know, so it's like it's just forever changing, and I think the partnership really, it's got to be a take give and then gain relationship. Like, I don't always have the answers, but sometimes Sebastian does. Sometimes I think I have the right answer, or I know I have the right answer, and Sebastian wants to do it a different way. But you gotta be like, let's try it that way.
What would like be an instant red flag for a bad business partner? Like, nope, not doing it. Like, is there anything Sebastian would do where you're like, absolutely not anymore? Maybe that's putting you on the spot, but we could take a step back and just say, is there any character flaws you see in someone you're like, no, I can't do it?
Well, poor credit score, bad money management, the lack of integrity, honesty, just any of those regular principles, spiritual principles that you live by on a daily basis. And the last thing I'd like to point out is if you're getting into business with anybody, you need a partnership contract. You need something that states, okay, Eric's expected to do this, Sebastian's expected to do this. If one of these members of this company do not abide by this contract, then they are able to break the contract legally because you have a binding document that states the agreement. And if that document is not in place, then you can't take it to a lawyer and separate. You're going to be in a nightmare because one person is not performing.
A business prenup.
I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Scott, but what do you think is like the number one thing you can do if you're doing like, let's say you're doing 6 figures a month. What's the number one thing you can do that you can do to get to 7 figures? Like, what should you be focused on? Is it sales? Is it products? Like, what is it?
Drop your profit margin, sell more items. It's that simple. Drop your profit margin, sell more items. And get more inventory in stock. At the end of the day, Amazon at scale, at the levels, you know, Sebastian and Scott and some of these big guys are doing it, it's a volume game. You know, it's numbers. If I can double my business at 6 figures to 200,000 and only sacrifice 2 or 3 margin points, that's massive growth. You know, that's another 13%. That's crazy. It's just crazy, the growth that's experienced there. So it's a volume game.
Definitely a volume game. Another one is, it was thrown out very subtly, but probably the best gem I heard today, the tactic was brought up by Morgan. Word description. Search by descriptions. People don't realize about 80% of our catalog is from our buyers finding it through description searches, not the novice UPC to ASIN connection, because those listings are more saturated, less profit on them. It's those, especially if you find one with a UPC connection, most likely there's a multi-pack out there that's going to provide you more profit than the single UPC connected ASIN.
So same question except for social media. How do you grow social media? Like, what's the one thing you should focus on? In your opinion, everybody probably has a different answer, but for you guys, what do you think it is?
I think the most valuable thing for social media for me has been honesty and authenticity throughout every single post and interaction I've had with each and every one of you that I've met and all of you that I will meet in the future. Because if that doesn't exist for me, then the relationship is not valid. You know, also I think another huge component to our growth was that I still to this day, like I just got, 12 fire emojis. I will respond to them in a little bit. I'm just soaking up all this information. But like I don't have anybody in my DMs responding to you. There's nobody posted. Like that is me. That is like, it's authentically me. And I think early on, initially, obviously, as it grows a year, 2, 3 years down the line, I hope I'm not in the same boat where I'm responding to every DM. But initially, that's super important to me. And then just getting consistency with posting. Gary talks about it 3 posts a day, which is fucking hard. That's hard shit unless you're scheduling it out. Try creating 3 posts a day for the next 10 days. It's complicated to do that. You got to be committed to make it happen.
Yeah, you just made me lose my train of thought on that last point. I was about to make everybody commit to posting 3 times a day for the next 10 days.
Don't do that.
It's a lot. Who here commits to posting at least 3 times over the next month, though? Aye. Say aye. Okay, that's pretty good. Taylor, you got any questions for them before we open it up to?
You guys don't post on social media, or have you had times in your business where it's just like, I don't know,
Anything like in specific that we don't post, or just times where I'm like, fuck it, I don't feel like. Yeah, yeah. My personal life, I usually don't post much about. And then really, there's nothing we really don't talk about as far as our Amazon business. I guess really like bottom, like exactly what I take home every year. You know, like I'm not comfortable sharing that with anybody. But it's a nice number.
So outside of growing your social media and obviously getting students and you probably even growing your Amazon business, throwing these events around the country you guys have been doing, what is like the top 1 or 2 things you can think of that you've gotten out of these events that you did not expect to get? And I know that's kind of on the spot question, but something other than social media growth or a monetary value from selling courses or maybe establishing relationships with Amazon people. Is there anything kind of like off the wall or like you're like, wow, I did not expect that hosting an event in Vegas?
Yeah.
Anything either of you can think of?
For myself, it'd be motivation. I'm constantly surrounded around people that are trying to better themselves. A lot of sellers, and it just, when I get home, I'm ready to grind. When I get home, I'm ready to grind. Like prior to this, it'd just be Eric and myself going back and forth, seeing who could one up each other, because we're very competitive. Imagine that. But when I'm around all of you, it's a reminder of there's other people that are trying to do it. It brings me back to where I was, and I get home and I'm inspired. So definitely. And I get gems from all of you all the time. Gems and nuggets of the business that I had no idea. And I learn from and I grow from.
And I think really what I've learned a lot about life and how to host better events when hosting events and traveling the country hosting events. Like the event in Vegas, you know, for us to put that together to host like an amazing experience, 3-day experience for like people who've been in our community, that was a 6-figure event to put that on. You know, but we do it because we see that the efforts that our community putting in warrants a 6-figure reward for those results. You know, so like as long as the community is committed to taking action, I guarantee you Sebastian and I will be here for the long run. We are not going anywhere. We will continue to guide you along your journey on each and every aspect of the growth of your company, and I can guarantee you that.
So I've gotten my questions out of the way. Do you have any more, Taylor, before we open it up to everyone else? Anyone else have a burning question for Amazon Lit? Right there.
So Scott said that he basically recycles his old suppliers. What is your sourcing technique, like sourcing, who do you have hired for constant new suppliers or new product leads?
Well, the question was, who do I hire to source product leads?
Like, do you have a team specifically to source new suppliers, new leads, like that?
Yeah. So initially, in the early years, for the first, 5-6 years, it was just Sebastian and me. You know, a little bit of help from Humble Ted as well, his uncle. But it was, Humble Ted's not here. Yeah. But, fuck, I lost my train of thought with Humble Ted. We were doing it. We were doing it, you know, because it's like, who knows your business? You might hire someone to do that, and they may just lack this certain thing that might be required to open that account, but they don't have the information, and because you wanted to outsource it 6 months in, 1 year in, 18 months in, now all of a sudden you've missed out on a potential distributor that could change the fucking game for you, but because you're trying to outsource to somebody else. So now to fast forward, 5 years later, our buyers are trained to source new vendors. We send our buyers to trade shows all over the country. They were just in Anaheim, Vegas. They're going to Expo West, Snacks and Sweets Expo. So they're now building those relationships for us.
Awesome. Other questions?
Okay, so it's pretty simple. What's your end goal for everything, life, business, family?
The end goal. Wow, that's a great question. You know, the other day I was at a mastermind in Mexico, and I wrote an obituary for myself. And it was one of the most emotional things I've ever done. You know, I'm sitting in a room with 200-300 people, and I'm looking to the left of me and to the right of me, and everybody's fucking crying. because I'm sitting here and I'm documenting like what would be read at my funeral the day that I die, and come to find out that all the monetary shit doesn't matter, but what that does is allow me to create the experiences that I want to have with my family and my loved ones that was on that obituary, right? So I feel like God, or whatever that being is that put me on this earth, wants me to make a fuck ton of money, but what am I doing with it? Am I helping my family? Am I giving back to the community? Because if I'm doing that, then it will continue to come in abundance. But if I separate myself from that light and stop doing those things, then it will be cut off from me, and I firmly believe that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Other questions, guys? Anything? These guys have social media. They have the social media experts, Amazon experts, obviously. These guys know their shit.
I have a question I've been wanting to ask everybody that's been up here. But for you guys, do you plan out your days? Like, I'm a very big list maker. Sorry, husband. I have chalkboards, like 4 in my kitchen, and I plan the day, I plan the week, I plan the month, and I just wondered, like, how many people here plan it? Like, do you get up at 6, you do a workout? Do you do at 7? Are you doing your emails or whatever? Because we're having a very hard time with time management. We work from sun up to sundown and don't feel like we're getting anything done.
Yeah, so for I definitely need a schedule in my life, like I have set meetings where people could schedule times with me, and it's like I know what times of the day those are and what days of the week they are. I know initially my most productive time through the day is like 7 or really like 8 to 12. I'd be kidding you if I told you 7. Most times I'm not even up at 7. But it's like 8 to 12. That's my most productive time through the day. So initially in the day, that's when I like to do my most productive tasks, the things that need to get done that day. And then it's like after that, then it's kind of free to play around with like, okay, this doesn't need to get done today, but I now have the time, so let me allocate it. And a great thing for that is just Google Calendar. Like, because then you get the notification 5 minutes before, you're never late to anything, you do it, and then when it's over, you're on to the next thing. You have a scheduled time for that event.
Yeah, I would say I have my tasks for the day, but I don't micromanage myself to the point where it's every hour. I'm a person that likes variety in my life, so I like to switch things up constantly. But I do, get up at a certain time every day, go to the gym and do a little meditation to get my day started and prep before I go start taking care of everyone else. What Eric was saying, about service, I too, my angle is service. The more service I provide for others, the more my higher power provides for me. It's just that simple. The more I do, the more I get. And so there is no set schedule, but there are tasks that need to be done. What I do is I set my weekly goals and my 30-day goals, my quarterly goals, my yearly goals. I don't say when they have to be done, whether it's Friday or Saturday, but they have to be done during that week, and it gives me the flexibility to kind of do what I want, but still get what I need done.
Yeah. And that's really one of my favorite things about this whole entrepreneurship thing is like literally on a Tuesday, if I don't feel like going to work till 10 o'clock or 9:30 because whatever, I had to stop at get my laundry or I wanted to sleep, it doesn't matter, because it's your schedule.
Yeah. I got a question right here. Black hat. The black hat Amazon seller.
So I know you guys have buyers and whatnot, kind of finding new relationships for you, new suppliers. When it was just you two calling and you knew there was a distributor that you really liked, really wanted, what was one of your main value propositions that you would kind of talk on when trying to land that account?
Yeah. I always like to throw spend out there, you know, what I'm expected to spend with them. Just after a quick glance in their catalog, you could get an idea. You know, you can even put together that first order. If that first order is 20, 25, you know, you're like, hey, I could spend, you double it, triple it. I spend $60,000 a month with you. You know, I'm in the business of growing lifelong relationships. So I'm looking for like a lifelong partnership here where we continue to grow together. You know, so I love talking about, because at the end of the day, they're business owners. They want that money. I'm sure Sebastian got something to add too.
What kind of shoes are those? Common Project?
Yes.
Those are dope. Those are
Thank
dope.
you.
I'm a big shoe guy.
Thank you.
I had to ask you. What I would say is, yeah, it's all about the relationships. At the end of the day, it's what you could provide, and don't just make it about monetary benefits. Eric's absolutely right, 100% it's going to be about monetary, but also there's products that Eric takes from one of our suppliers that supplier can't really move, and we can't move it on Amazon, but we'll take it in order to help them, because big picture, guys, in the long run, we know it's going to come back and benefit us. So we're always providing a service, and a relationship, we understand, is always two ways. So look at what you could do for them rather than what they could do for you, and you'll see there'll be longevity in your relationships.
Got it. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. We got time for one more question right here.
So I had a question. What books would you guys say would recommend for us to grow as we're growing our business? Because as you guys said, you invest into a bigger, the funnel clicks. You met so many other people through that. So as we're continuously growing ourselves, what books have you read? And then also, what's one way that you guys for yourself broke a bad habit or try to change your mindset about something to continuously go to the next step level? Like what was the physical, mind, and just transformation? Like what was one habit that you did to change the bad habits?
Sure.
That makes sense.
So I would say two books I really enjoyed recently. Well, the 5 a.m. Club is a phenomenal book, which kind of helped change my life. Also Driven by Douglas Brackman, I believe, or Randall, I forget his last name, but Driven, another book I could really relate to. And Bad Habits. Bad Habits, I love them now because what I've learned through them, and I've had many, believe it or not, is to feel them. I'll feel that angst inside of me. My chest starts burning up, and I've learned, think like a monk, Jay Shetty. I've learned to kind of just feel it. Feel it. It's okay to feel that angst and not try to escape, right? Whether it's a drink or social media, or if you're using something as an escape, then you're using it incorrectly. They should be tools for us to use and not for us to escape from reality. So when I have these bad habits, I try to pause, and that's why I have these alarm clocks set to just pause in my day, because so many times I get caught in that mouse wheel and I'm just doing to do. It's almost like I'm on autopilot, and I just need to sometimes pause and remember I am a being. You know, on a deeper sense, I am a being, and so I gotta be and not just do.
Yeah, as far as books go, I would say Speak to Sell, Dan Kennedy. It's all about, right now it just lines up with my life perfectly. It's about like how to make sales to people when you're on stages, you know? So it's like, but it also gives you an inside look into like the mind of a marketer and really how a customer thinks, which is amazing for any business because every business has customers. The second book would be The 50th Law by Robert Greene and 50 Cent. It really talks about becoming your own person and only relying on yourself for your actions and success and not working for the man, essentially, you know? Like putting all your eggs in your basket instead of leaving eggs in other people's basket. And then I don't even remember your second part of the question.
What's some ways that you break a bad habit, and what was that like for you as you're going through that stage? How did you overcome it, basically?
Yeah, I've broken a lot of bad habits in my day. You know, I was a troubled kid. You know, I did a lot of drugs and drinking when I was younger. So I've broken a lot of bad habits. And I would say what got me to break not only those bad habits, but also other bad habits in my life, for me personally, was a direct connection, spiritual connection to some sort of higher power. You know, and then seeking that, continuing to seek that, and then also focusing on mind, spirit, and body as well. So this is this is going to kind of drive me to this last thing here. I know we're going to wrap this up, but you're going to experience this multiple times in the growth of your company, right? You're going to come to events like this. You're going to work on your mind, body, and spirit, and they're going to get real healthy. You know, and then your business is going to grow as a direct result of how healthy your mind, spirit, and body are. And then because your business is going to grow and you're experiencing success, you're going to stop focusing on your mind, body, and spirit. And your business is a direct result of that lack of focus on those three important aspects are going to diminish the growth of your business. And you're going to be back at stage one where you have to put all of your emphasis on your mind, body, and spirit. And I'm going through that again, probably for the 4th or 5th time in past maybe 6 or 7 years where I'm experiencing that. And it's up to me or you as an individual to recognize it and take action to fix it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Guys, let's give it up for Amazon Lit.